pounds a lot bigger than average? Like, what would be the average?
Shelby, you can come over here. You can get them. So.
For our birds, average is about mid to high 40s. Sometimes we have gotten up to about 60 pounds, but average is around mid to high 40s, yes. So this is about average for him.
He's strutting.
He loves to show off.
This is as close as I get in turkey hunting to a turkey. I don't ever see them, so.
So what's his journey? Does he go from here to the,
After this, he will come home with us and be the main guest on our Thanksgiving table.
Well said. Well said. Well, thank you all. We'll make sure we leave the turkey. I'll go ahead if these folks step. I'd be glad to take some off topic as we're here. Thank you all. Shelby, congratulations. It's beautiful. Thank you. We'll let them get ready. Any off topic? Good to see you all again. I just say at the top of this, we just returned Saturday afternoon, had 7 days on a trade mission accompanied by corn growers, soybean growers, dried edible bean folks, Ecolab, Mayo Clinic, Medical Alley, a lot of startups who were with us in a trade mission to Switzerland and Germany, as we at the sub-federal level making the case, and our European partners know this, we don't control federal tariff policy, but states have a lot of autonomy to be able to invest, and we've seen this since we started in 2019. The Japanese probably figured this out before anybody else. They came not out of Washington, they came to the states, and in the 6 years since Japan first made visits here, we've doubled direct foreign investment from Japan and growing. We did a Boston Scientific launch. We had Philips that came from the Netherlands, and this time we made contact with especially in the space of ag and ag tech, clean tech, and med tech. We attended the Medica trade show, which is the world's largest in Dusseldorf, which is a medical device and medical breakthroughs trade show that is, the scope of it is simply stunning. It's the Minneapolis Civic Center full to the brim, imagine that. There are 17 halls that size and bigger, represented by nearly 70 countries and thousands of established device companies, many of them, of course, Medtronic. We spent time with 3M, who has a heavy presence right outside Dusseldorf, and made contact with the case that Minnesota is the epicenter of all three of those ag tech, clean tech, especially med tech with the Mayo Clinic. The advent of biolabs. We spent time in Berlin with the Berlin Institute of Health at Charité Hospital, which is the premier research facility in Germany, as long as folks from Paris and around Rochester, Mayo Clinic, Medical Alley, about the potential growth and the breakthroughs that are there. So it's a very successful mission. I think over the coming months you'll see those things start. It takes a little bit of time, but you'll start to see those investments come around those areas. And we're excited about that because, look, the rest of the world's depending on U.S. leadership. They are very confused at this point in time. Switzerland had a 39% tariff put on them, one of the highest in the world, and Switzerland's a highly advanced manufacturing society, and it's things that we can learn from. So we spent time with their companies. And then I had the opportunity to address some of the largest trade group, the American Chamber of Commerce, the Transatlantic Business Initiative, and then Aspen Institute put on a presentation with the German Council on Foreign Relations that we were able to address what the situation is. So highly successful. I think we'll hear from some of those, and just really proud of Minnesota kind of standing up in this space where the Europeans are looking for leadership. With that, I take any questions. Yeah.
There's going to be a vigil this evening at the Basilica among people who are concerned about HUD's cuts to the continuum of care funding. I just wondered, what concern is the state about the loss of the concept of housing first?
Yeah, well, very concerned, and I think we're making great progress across the spectrum of housing. Certainly, the effort has been made in a holistic approach. We've done it, the legislature, and the work that we've done out of our administration. I think we're seeing that across the board. The SNAP cuts, we see this. We still have got to I mean, I will share this, is all of these things around people, they don't come in pieces. So it's housing, it's food security, it's health care. We still have not got an answer on the enhanced subsidies. I did see the president put out what appears to be more than a concept of a plan, a little bit about the extension of those enhanced subsidies, which I want to see how our congressional delegation rectifies with telling us that those enhanced subsidies on the ACA were the worst thing that ever happened, drove up costs, put people out, and now the president is advocating to reinstate, which they need to do, the enhanced subsidies. So yes, I'm concerned. I think they all band together. I think the lack of focus on some of those basic programs that we know that have reduced housing insecurity has worked. That is a big bird, so huge. So please.
There's a big news conference yesterday about health. I'm sure you're talking about that as well. Do you have any ideas about what you can do at the state level to help the...
Yeah, we're exploring it. And again, I think this is the problem when you had, you know, the big bill come out that no one was, this was a surprise to everyone that this would be in there. I think we have a thriving industry. While it's new, we're starting to see now that I think our regulatory process, I think everything around, and this is of course on the cannabis side of things, but hemp adjacent where we've had the opportunities, it's very disruptive. So I think at this point in time, we certainly welcome that industry. We welcome the work that had been done. And listening to the folks who are in this, this came out of left field to them, unprepared for it, and I think we're still trying to understand what that means. Yes?
Governor, good morning. I want to ask you about the issue of fraud. I know your administration has taken some pretty bold steps recently to prevent fraud, to create stronger safeguards. But I want to ask you a historical question. If you look back at the chronology of how some of these cases came about, one feature you see is there were instances in which the perpetrators of these schemes used allegations of fraud, allegations of racism to beat back questions and accountability. I'm wondering, as you look back historically, what role you think the post-George Floyd era politics played in the government's response, and whether you think in some instances it inhibited Democrats from acting more forcefully?
Yeah, well, this is a thoughtful question. I appreciate it. It's one to first and foremost, the fraud undermines trust in government. It undermines programs that are absolutely critical in improving quality of life. There's a reason Minnesota ranks near the top in all categories on quality of life. And when it comes to fiscal responsibility in all the other areas, again, we rank as a top state in AAA bond rated, about long-term stability, about tackling, which we did collectively together. But the fraud undermines that. And I think the idea of attacking this, getting the tools to do it, the post-COVID world did several things. One is there was a lot more money put out there with a lot less safeguards around it as they were crafted. And now, as we're trying to stop these things, it's painful for some. It's painful because we're going to have to. We know that there's folks that didn't participate in this fraud that are being hurt by it. But I think this question of racism came up. I think we all know there was an incidence of a dinner that was held that was celebrating and an attack on the Commissioner of Education. And from our perspective in government, it doesn't matter the nationality, the religion, or whatever it is. These are criminals who need to be pursued and need to be stopped. But I hear you, and I hear where people are at. Is this targeting certain communities, whatever? Certainly from our perspective, we are targeting criminals. And wherever they come from and wherever they're at, they are going to be punished. They are going to go to prison. We saw a lengthy 10-year prison sentence issued yesterday, which is exactly what needs to happen. But I think one of the biggest things that we were trying to grapple with is that amount of money that was being moved so quickly, and the federal government relaxing some of the requirements around it, and then how these things were formed. That's unacceptable. The public has a strong responsibility. We went to court over this several times, continuing to say it doesn't matter where you're coming from. Nobody's being targeted based on race. Nobody's being targeted based on economics or anything like that. You're being targeted if you're committing criminal activities. And I think in the moment that we're in, you're seeing it federally, a massive PPP. You even see members of the House here talking about other members and their PPP loans. We've got to restore trust in the system. And so I will say I hear you on this. I think it's an interesting question. I am not... I hear it. I want to reassure Minnesotans. First and foremost, we're tackling the fraud, but this has nothing to do with racial. And we did not pull back off because there were accusations on this. The commissioner was accused of racism. When we asked the courts to stop payments, the courts reinstituted the payments, and a celebration was had about the demise of the education commissioner. We're going to stay in the pace of this. If you're committing fraud, no matter where you come from, what you look like, what you believe, you are going to go to jail.
Just to clarify, you don't think Democrats were paralyzed or inhibited based on the politics of that era? You don't think that stood in the way?
Well, I can only speak for our administration. We were not. It's certainly, your question, as I said, is a good one, because it was very clear to us when that 2021 dinner celebration, because they beat the state, and when they say they beat the state, they forced us to repay them again when we had stopped payment, and it turns out that they were committing fraud, and then eventually we sent them there. That was, there was a moment that it was very clear that the accusations against the state, that the state was pursuing these things for racial reasons, we never viewed it that way. We never stopped pursuing it, and whether it was in the legislature or not, I guess that's a question for them to ask.
We are listening.
Gouverneur Minnesota Tim Walz qui a répondu journaliste aux questions après qu'il fin présenter qui gagne pardon au gouvernement là ensemble avec quelques autres sujets et que l'État peut répondre journaliste ou branché Pstars.